All right. It's on. It's on, everybody. Looks like the U.S. has attacked Iran. U.S. has bombed Iran, and it's just a matter of wait and see what's going to happen next. Let's go over what the president said. He announced on Truth Social. Let's see, or was it Twitter? One of the. He said, "We have completed our successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fadel, Tanet, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fadel. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace." Okay. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now's the time for peace. Well, it will be a time for peace if Iran doesn't have a response. If they don't have a response, then yeah, he's right. Now would be the time for peace, for sure. We got hoodwink. That's what somebody said. Worst mistake I've ever had. Worst mistake ever was to vote for him. That's what TJ said. I'll never trust him again. Well, my biggest issue in this election wasn't the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is usually my biggest issue. Okay, but in this election, I was worried about World War III. I was worried about Ukraine and Russia. That's what I was worried about. That was my big issue. And looks like we're going to get a war. I mean, maybe it might be a situation where he bombs these nuclear sites, and that's it. That's the end of the story. We do know that Iran said that, hey, if the U.S. gets involved, it's going to be very dangerous for the U.S. There's talk of sleeper cells. But maybe it's just talk. Maybe it's just talk. There's all types of stories about how the Iranians they had to send in a kill team to take out Trump when he was on the campaign trail. I'm like, okay, I never really bought into all that. But yeah. So what do you guys think? Let's see. Romanati said that we definitely did it. 2-term voter for Trump. I'm regretting this one. Well, it depends on how this goes. Somebody said it's time for impeachment. I don't see an American president ever being impeached for starting a war. No, that's not the type of country we live in. They're not going to impeach a president for starting an unnecessary war. I don't see that happening. They're more likely to impeach a president for not starting a war. I mean, it's not going to be an impeachment. I'll tell you that right now. Somebody said there goes the Strait of Hormuz, however you say it. It's a narrow little body of water that a lot of Middle Eastern countries send their ships through to get their oil out. That narrow little section. And they could shut it down, but the U.S. Navy might have supremacy. That might be able to destroy any assets that the Iranians might have. The Iranians, they could use their own ships. They could sink their own ships in the areas. They could potentially create obstacles in that whole area. They can lay out mines. That's another obstacle. Somebody said, Southern Texas Prepper said that President Trump will address the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, he's going to address the nation at 10 or 10:30. So we'll see what happens there. But what was interesting is that the Iranians said there was going to be an immediate response. Maybe they're just talking trash. And I don't expect the Russians to do anything. Okay, Six Dream said either you're on our side or the terrorist side. George W. Bush. Yeah. And when it comes to starting wars, when it comes to bombing things, a lot of Americans don't really care. I mean, that's what I've learned. Americans don't really care unless there's some consequences back at home. Then, yeah, Americans start to care more about that. They really start to care more about that. Then they care. So, yeah, then that's when Americans really start to care. But I don't think so. Well, let's see. I'm going to get you guys to call in. You guys can share your thoughts. And we'll see what you guys got to say. I'll try to keep you guys updated as we move along. I'm going to get this number going for you guys. You guys can call in. And you share your thoughts on what you think is going to happen. Iran's response. Of course, there's talk of potential sleeper cells. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. There's talk of sleeper cells. There's talk of they may hit some of our bases. We'll see. I mean, I wonder if the Supreme Leader is still alive, because we haven't heard much of anything from him, and apparently the radio activity with this guy has been pretty much nil for the last several days. Is he even still alive? We haven't seen this guy in a while. So apparently, Israel, they threatened Iran's Supreme Leader. Iran, of course, they've made their threats, but nobody really knows what's going to happen at this point. We all pretty much suspected that the U.S. was going to bomb Iran this weekend. I mean, I don't think that was too big of a surprise. I think Trump wanted to wait till the markets were closed. He wanted to wait till he had enough assets in the region, the USS Nimitz in the region. But I mean, I would be lying to you guys if I said I had some idea what was going to happen next. Sleeper cells. I mean, even if they do have sleeper cells, they may not happen tonight. They may not be activated tonight. They may be activated on Sunday to attack churches nationwide, but most likely it'll be on like a Monday. I don't think it'll ever be immediate. Not that I want anybody to be attacked. I'm just sort of speculating because Iran, there's been talk about that. Hey, Joshua, what's up? Okay, there's a number. There's a number. You guys can call in, share your thoughts. Okay, don't underestimate the USA's air power. Okay. All right. I mean, we shall see. I mean, we heard a lot about Iran's hypersonic missiles. We'll see. My question is, how are they going to hit American ships without satellites, without really good satellites? Ooh. I mean, how is that even possible? I mean, I don't know if the Chinese are going to help them, just like the Americans help the Ukrainians. Okay, John said you can't win a war with air power alone. Well, if you go nuclear, maybe, but I don't know if this is going to turn into a war, a big war. I may be wrong. Maybe we'll bomb them, and that'll be it. They won't retaliate. They can't retaliate. Maybe that'll be the case. But what I'm saying is, you need to be prepared anyway. What will be the next shoe to drop? I wouldn't be surprised if they did use some of those rockets, some of those missiles to target American assets, American bases. They have a satellite? Okay, I didn't know that. Well, the U.S. can take that satellite out. So you guys think the Supreme Leader is still alive, huh? Well, you guys can call in. I put the number in the chat room. Let me see what else I can pull up. In case you're just not joining us, Trump announced that there was an air operation. They bombed Iran. They hit that Fordo site, that main site. Let's see what else is going on. Okay. I will say this, the Trump administration, they are getting better at controlling the information. Because the first term was just pretty terrible. It was leaks all over the place. So it was just absolutely terrible. But they are doing a better job of controlling the leaks. Okay, here's some breaking news apparently. Yemen's Allah warns America. Okay. What is Yemen? So are the Houthis going to try to respond? I mean, they gave us some problems before, but I mean, are they going to try to attack Israel? Are they going to try to attack American assets? Let's see, where's this coming from? Okay. Anyway. So, what are you guys doing to prepare in case there is a sleeper cell attack tomorrow? What are you guys up to? What do you guys have planned? I mean, I carry every single day. I'm telling you, I'm probably going to avoid areas that are too public with more than, I'll say, 500 people. Yeah, actually more than 300 people. 250 people, I would try to avoid that. That's just what I'm going to do. I'm not saying that's something you should do. I mean, I'm saying I'm going to do that for a little bit until this whole situation sort of blows over, essentially. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Somebody says, Sentinel Prime said, you can thank your daddy, Trump, for this. Sentinel Dad said, bro, Iran isn't going to use sleeper cells unless they're invaded. Okay. I hope you're right. The thing is, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I do know. But in case you're just now joining us, yeah, we did bomb Iran. We hit 3 sites, including Fordow. We probably used those big bunker buster bombs. I don't know. I haven't received any confirmation that we definitely destroyed those main sites. But let's see what I can find right here. Fordow is gone. That's what they're saying. Fordow is gone. Donald Trump has shared a message from an open source intelligence account saying that Fordow is gone. Well, I mean, Trump's your source, but that doesn't mean it's true. You know, the facility south of Tehran has already been the target of Israeli strikes since the start of the war. Okay, here's my question. Did they still have the fuselage still there? Did they still have the assets still in place? Because it's a mountainous country. If you don't know anything about Iran, I'm not pretending to be an expert, but if you look at the map, it's a mountainous country. They have mountains surrounding the area. It would be very difficult to try to invade that place. A land war there would be very, very different than Iraq. So there's a lot of places they can hide their stuff. I mean, again, I don't know if they really were working on a nuclear weapon. I do know that Tulsi Gabbard said, hey, by the way, the Supreme Leader didn't give them authorization to do that. Then, of course, she changed her tone recently when Trump got on her. A lot of people say that Tulsi Gabbard should resign and all this stuff. Here's my take. Let's say she resigns. Who's going to become the national director? Who's going to become the director of national intelligence? Who's going to replace her? Who's going to be that voice in the room that says, hey, you may want to reconsider this, Mr. President? I mean, who's going to be that voice? So, yeah, you could protest, resign and protest, say that I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to resign, I'm going to send a statement. But then if you really are worried about World War III, then what happens then? Who's going to be in power? Who's going to be in that room, in that national security briefing room? At least speak up when it really, really matters the most. Or maybe she can be more effective by just resigning. Okay, somebody said, I'm not MAGA anymore. I'm still MAGA. I want to make America great again. Trump may not be the person who's able to achieve that, but I still want to make America great again. I still support those policies, most of them. Okay, Red Pill Science says, bro, she's that voice. She's that voice anymore? Well, she's not that voice. She's not that voice anymore. I forgot the word not. She's a that voice. She's not that voice anymore. She told a line and appeared at Trump. Yeah, she did. That's true. And it's sad. I won't even argue with you right there. Somebody said there's lots of armed Americans, but we're all disjointed and no unity. Well, yeah, there's a lot of Americans with guns, but how many of them actually carried guns? Like, how many Americans, when we look at all 50 states, actively carry guns every single day? Like, you can have, let me look this up. Let's start off with CCW permits. I know that we have a constitutional carry, in a lot of states. But let me look this up. It's actually a pretty low percentage of Americans with CCWs. Approximately 8.2% of American adults hold concealed carry permits. This number increases to about 9.8 when you exclude states with stricter gun laws like New York and California. So like the bigger states, Texas, they can still carry guns, but California and New York, you got a lot of people concentrated in a lot of small areas. They have rural areas in both New York and California, but they have a lot of urban areas where there's a lot of people concentrated and they're not able to carry a gun. So you have a lot of target-rich environments. So you have less than 10% of the population actually carrying. Yeah, you could carry a gun without a permit in states where there's constitutional carry. By the way, right now we're talking about the possibility of Iranian sleeper cells. But anyway, yeah, you could carry. You could have some people carrying, but these are just people with permits. Like, how many of those people with permits actually carry every single day? Probably a small fraction of them. Because a lot of people may have guns, but it's at home. I mean, I'm just saying, a lot of people just aren't going to be ready. Doesn't everybody carry? Does everyone carry? That's what Mike Bravo asked. No. Vast majority of Americans don't. Eric John said, you don't need a CCW in a large number of constitutional carry states. Yeah, that's true, but my experience, well, I think that most of the people who are carrying do have permits. Most of the people who are really serious about it already have permits, because I live in Georgia. Okay, what if I need to go to another state? What if I need to drive to another state, nearby state? Yeah, it could be constitutional carry. But what if I go to a state where they don't have constitutional carry? Then I need my permit to legally carry in that state. That's why even if you do have constitutional carry, it makes sense to have a permit. So when you go to a nearby state, I mean, you're still good. Now, a lot of states around me are constitutional carry states. But let me give you a quick little map of what I'm talking about. Give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Let's see. I'll bring this up. Well, anyway, I'll do that some other time. But yeah, I mean, if you're in Georgia and you need to go to a nearby state that doesn't have constitutional carry, it makes sense to have that permit. And once again, how many people are actually carrying? Okay, Jeremy said that I see a lot of people with CCW permits carry tiny guns too. I watch people carry 380s, 32s, and micro 9s. That will be a hard fight against a rifle. Well, yeah. You guys know I've always been a fan of full-size guns. I mean, I do think it's interesting. A small gun is better than no gun at all, but if you ever get into a situation, I really do. Well, for me, I rather have a full-size gun. Full-size grip. Also have a greater line of sight, well, greater radius. Greater sight radius. They're just easier to shoot. Yeah, I mean, they're just a lot easier to shoot. This is my experience. I've had some compact guns before, but they're harder to hold on to than you might imagine. Anyway, I have big hands, so the size of my hands, I mean, this is a big phone right here. This is a Galaxy S25. A big phone. All right, we have our first caller. Hey, welcome to the Dimcat channel. What's on your mind?
Well, you were sitting up here talking about people that carry and all that kind of stuff, or who don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it to a little different area.
Okay.
Since we the same color, let's just say that, or race, how you want to do it. One thing I've noticed, a lot of black people do not carry. They are not prepared for anything. I mean, most of the black people I know, they think I'm crazy. What you carrying that gun for? I'm like, because I can.
Well,
how many black people do you know that carry besides you? Think about it. Not very many. I'm talking about all the time. I'm not talking about have a gun at home in the drawer in the safe. I'm not talking about that. You hear all these black people talking all this big game about ain't nobody gonna mess with me. I had a homeboy of mine tell me, if I need a gun, I know where to go get one. I said, and if you come back and shoot somebody, you know what that's called? Premeditated murder. A lot of black people think if they go get something and come back, I'm good. No, you're not. That's premeditated murder, dummy. A lot of people don't understand. If you leave the scene and come back, that's premeditated murder. A lot of people think that's self-defense. No, it's not. You came back. I mean, I've had to explain that to a bunch of people. I'll go get if you go get it and come back, you going to jail. If you got it on you, you can argue self-defense. A lot of people don't even understand that fact. And I'm going to say it. A lot of blacks don't understand that.
Yeah, it amazes me how many people, especially black people, because I'm around a lot more black people now that I'm here in Georgia. But a lot of us just don't have just basic stuff. Like just simple stuff like first aid stuff, just stuff to stop the bleeding. Not even water at home, not even bottle of water. Just water at home, emergency food, none of that stuff. Just basic stuff.
I mean, and I tell them, and they get mad at me, and they call me a coon. I said, it's lack of forethought. You don't think ahead. That's a big problem. Lack of forethought. You are a prepper. You got forethought. You know, I've been watching. I've commented a few times on your stuff. I mean, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the ones who walk around there literally not knowing what in the hell to do if the bullets start flying. They have, okay, I tell people, those 9 people in that church in South Carolina should have had something. You know,
well, don't you need permission to have a gun in the church, from the church? Because in a lot of states, they don't allow you to carry guns in religious centers.
Hold on. Listen to what you're saying. Allow. I drive a truck for a living. I go every state, New York, New Jersey, California. My permit is not legal. But guess what I have? 2 Berettas and 8 loaded magazines. I don't care if I'm not allowed. You see the difference between people doing what's allowed and then people doing things because they can?
Yeah, well, I don't want to end up in jail when you know what hits the fan. So if I'm not allowed to legally carry somewhere, I'm just not going to go there. I mean, obviously there's work. If you work in a jail, that's different. I've been in that situation now, so.
Well, my job, I go from state to state, and I go to states where, you know, it's legal to a point. Like, you know, if I go to New York, you have to unload it, put it in a lock case, and unload the ammunition. And there's ways that you can go through California, New York, and all that, but you have to jump through a bunch of hoops. It has to be disassembled. You know all that crap. I know all the. But if I need my firearm, I'm not gonna have time to grab it, put it together, load it, all that garbage. Come on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know people probably in the comments saying, you're going to go to jail. I'm not worried. See, there are people like me in the world who don't let law disarm them. I know, I've been carrying for 33 years. And when I first started carrying, I went and bought a 380 and stuck it in my pocket and started walking down the hood. That's when I started carrying. I just went and bought a 380 at a pawn shop, went behind the pawn shop, loaded it down the dumpster, and stuck it in my front pocket. That's when I started concealed carry. I didn't go ask permission.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing it.
All right, I'll let you go, and I know they tear me up in the comments about I'm going to jail, from all that stuff. I know they tear me. But anyway, all right, brother, you have a good one, damn cat, and you are a treasure, brother.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. Bye.
All right, brother. Bye.
Man, I'm not going to California. I'm not going to end up in prison, in jail. And just my luck, I will go to. Can you imagine going to California and you get pulled over for speeding or something, busted tail light, and you know they find out you have a gun and you're going to jail for illegally carrying a gun, and then You know, I don't know. America comes under attack, and that's when the shit hits the fan, and you're sitting in the county jail. Not me. I mean, that's just my approach. I mean, that's anyway. So somebody just asked me, is this title real? Yes, the title is real. Trump just announced that, we bombed Iran. There's a tweet right there. I wouldn't make something up like that. I wouldn't make it up. There it is right there. You read it yourself. We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. There you go. So I don't know if you can believe Trump or not, but there it is right there. So this isn't something I just made up. I'm looking at open source right now. Let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. So yeah, it's not something I would just I would never. Oh boy, if I can get this to go. Yeah, so it's pretty real, guys. We're still waiting on the blowback. It may not, I may be wrong. Maybe no blowback at all. Maybe a situation where, hey, nothing really happens, and maybe Iran comes to the table and they negotiate. But anyway, this is from open source intel. U.S. Air Force KC-46A tankers, call sign, well, whatever, have just entered the Pacific, likely escorting strategic bombers. Their destination appears to be within this area of operations, possibly Japan or Diego Garcia. So there's a little latest right there. So yeah, it looks like Fordo was actually destroyed. We haven't confirmed that. So we don't know that for sure. But these are some of the reports coming in right now. He did it. Oh, people are celebrating, huh? Oh, okay, he did it. Look at this. He did it. USA, the American flag. And that's what Trump said. Okay. If as long as there's no blowback, then, politically he'll get a win from this. Americans don't care as long as there's no consequences back that's going to affect us. That's what it really comes down to. But I'm telling you guys, you better be prepared in case things don't really go well for us. Okay. All right, here's something else. Right there off of... Okay, breaking. U.S. claims to have bombed 2 of 5 of the entrances into Iran's Fordo nuclear facility. Okay. All right. Well, I'll try to keep you guys updated. You guys can call in. You guys have the number. Let me see if I can post it up again. You guys share your thoughts on what's going to happen next for us. Oh, there we go. Iran. Oh, here's a comment from Joshua. Iran was the second largest producer of oil in OPEC. I was thinking about something else. Israel. OPEC. Now it's Saudi Arabia's turn to get taken over. I'm kind of surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that Russia didn't do anything. Does Iran have super cells here in America? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I do know. We had an open border for 4 years. I don't know. It's very possible, but I haven't seen much from Iran and China. They're working on deals with Iran. They're working on some deals with them. Somebody said the super cells are here. I don't know. It's going to be one of those things where first it was Iraq, now it's Iran, next is Saudi Arabia. So we're going to put people on the ground. Iran is a country with 90 million people. 90 million people. So they better have a leader in place who can take over, not just a leader, but somebody who's respected by the military, the police, and civilians. So we'll see. I don't think the U.S. is going after Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is playing nice with Israel. I do want to know what's going on with the supreme leader of Iran. Okay, here's the latest. Israel in full coordination with the U.S. over strikes. Well, that's not a big surprise at all. Not a big surprise at all. It's pretty much what I expected. Former Israeli minister thanks Trump for bold action. Bold action. Well, hey, I want American servicemen and women to come home safely. I don't want to see battleships sunk. I don't want to see American air bases attacked. It's not what I want. Well, we'll see. Trump's going to address the nation tonight at 10 o'clock. Yes, that's true. You guys can call in and share your thoughts on what you think is going to happen. The Supreme Leader, he's been in the bunker for days. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can find something else on the whereabouts of the so-called Supreme Leader of Iran. So, yeah, there it is right there. Trump saying he will address the nation tonight. Let me show you guys that. He's saying, I will be addressing the nation tonight at 10 p.m. at the White House regarding our very successful operation in Iran. This is a historic moment for the United States of America, Israel, and the world. Iran must now agree to end this war. So it will be interesting because Iran was talking a lot of crap. But if they can't respond, then they're going to have to do whatever Trump tells them to do. Because it looks like they don't have any leverage. So we'll see. All right, guys. You guys can call in. Trying to see what else I can get on this. And if you're just now joining us, yeah, we did hit Iran. Yes, we just hit Iran. See if I can get anything else new. Well, I'll leave it at that. And if I have anything else, I might go live again. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you. I know I saw a DSG label in there. Thank you. Okay. Maybe I should do a quick poll. Just Joshua said he regret his vote for sure. He regrets his vote. Yeah, Kamala would have did the same thing. Yeah, Kermit the Frog would have done the same thing. Yeah, I think Trump got his orders that, hey, this is going to have to happen. That's what I think. But anyway, guys, I'm about to watch this movie. And I talked about this in my latest video about how there's too much false advertisement in the movies as far as the previews. Like you'll look at the trailer and you'll look at the ads for the movies, and they'll sell something as one type of movie, and then when you go to the theaters, you get something else. I mean, here's what I mean. Like 28 years later, I was talking about that. It looked like a hardcore zombie movie, and it was a zombie movie. It's more of a coming-of-age movie taking place in the post-apocalyptic world. But so I think a lot of people are going to be like, this isn't quite the movie I expected. And then it was a good movie. It's a coming-of-age story, coming-of-age drama with zombies in it, about a young boy trying to save his mother. Although at the very ending, I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but some weird characters just showed up, and I just thought, what the hell? Well, it felt like the last 10 minutes of the movie when those characters showed up, it felt like a completely different movie. It felt like it didn't belong in that movie. You know, it didn't feel like it belonged in that movie. But anyway, The Materialist. I'm sure some people went to see that movie thinking, "Oh, this is going to be a romantic comedy." No, it was just a romance. It was more like a romantic drama. Really, it wasn't a romantic comedy. It's some other movie that is sort of trick people. I'm gonna look it up. Anyway, I keep forgetting it. I really wish Ballerina did better as a movie because I thought that movie was awesome. And the reason why I really wanted that movie to actually do better because it was a rated R action movie, and I just know that if movies like that don't do well, they're not going to make as many of them, and we're going to be stuck in a scenario where all we're going to get are kids' movies and movies made for China, and that's kind of disappointing. But anyway, guys, we're waiting on the consequences of this bombing. I might go live later on tonight. if something else happens. Might go live after. Yeah, 28 years later. 28 years later, yeah, it's a zombie movie, but it's a coming of age story that takes place during 28 years after the apocalypse. That's really what it is. Trump is literally bombing Iran, and you're pivoting to zombie movies. Well, hey, like I said in my last video, I'm still going to enjoy life. I want to be informed about what's going on, and I don't have any new information. You know, I'm not one of these people on YouTube that's going to sit down for an hour and talk about the same topic. You know, they just go on and on and on and on and on. Look, if I don't have any new information, I'm not going to just sit there and just talk about the same thing. And yeah, I am going to go to the movies, even if there is a war breaking out. You know, I mean, that's just part of what I like to do. I like to go to the gun range. I like to go to the movie theaters. That's what I'm into. So yeah, I'm going to keep you guys informed the best I can. I'm going to talk about what's going on. But yeah, I'm going to continue to enjoy the things that I like. So that's just who I am. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget the future belongs to those who prepare for it today.